Hello, my love. Welcome to the Single Women Society. I am your host and founder, Kat Cantrell, and I have brought someone very special to me for this episode to share with all of you. I find that when it comes to dating, part of, I wouldn't say it's the issue, but part of it is having the confidence as you walk into the room. Having that confidence in knowing who you are and being comfortable in your own skin. Because I think when it comes to dating, we like to think that there's like a magic formula, or I'm supposed to be texting, I'm not supposed to be texting. I'm supposed to be calling, I'm not supposed to be calling. FaceTiming, when do you see them? When do you don't see them? There's so many things that we think that there's some magic formula, and there isn't. But I do know that one thing that you can do to prepare yourself is to feel good in your own skin. Because when we're feeling confident and we're loving who we are, we're able to skim. We're able to select our dates better. We're able to remove that filter and recognize when we see those red flags if we're confident in who we are as a woman. And part of that is feeling good about you. And for me, one of the ways that I feel good about myself is by moving my body. Now, let me just hold on a second. Before you jump on me, there's a point to this. I believe that moving your body is important for everybody without an agenda. When you move your body, you naturally release those endorphins. You naturally feel better, whether it's taking a walk, whether it's taking a dance class, taking karate, going on your bicycle, doesn't matter. When you move your body, you feel better in your body and it increases your confidence. So part of what I do here at the Single Women Society is guide you on how you can build that confidence so that we can set you up for success on that next date. The guest that I have for you today is my own personal trainer. Her name is Erin Stark of Stark Strength. And the reason why I wanted to bring her to you today is because of her philosophy. The majority, you'll find out, but the majority of her clients, they say in personal training that the majority of the clients are female. In fact, I believe she said 80% of her clients of personal training are female. And the reason being is because of the fear of going to the gym, the insecurity, the stigma that is surrounding fitness and all of what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do. So I wanted to bring Erin to you because I think it's important for you to build a healthy relationship with moving your body. And there's no better person that can relay this message to you than Erin Stark. So ladies, please help me welcome Erin to the show. Well, hello, Erin. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
I know. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me. How exciting.
I
I'm so
know.
glad to be here.
It's and I'm gonna tell our audience. I tell our audience at the beginning how we met each other, but who would have thought, Erin, that when we did meet 2 years ago that we would be doing this?
Not me.
I know, because both of
Not
us
me.
our lives have drastically changed in the
Oh,
last couple of years.
like multiple times.
Yes, yes.
Multiple times.
And
Yeah.
I think that as you, I think that's one of the things that I love about you is you're driven like I am. Like you're always chasing and going after like the next thing. And even though life knocks you down, you're like, I'm good. What's next? And I just love that about you. One of the many things that I love about you.
Well,
So,
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's not necessarily like a natural behavior. Like sometimes that's kind of a learned process.
oh, I
So
would agree.
everyone out there is working on it. Keep at it.
I agree. So let's dive into it. So, Erin,
Yes.
why don't you tell tell us a little bit about you and what do you do?
So, my name is Erin Stark. I am a personal trainer and strength coach. I have my ACE, just my general personal training certification through ACE. And then for the strength side of things, I have my Strong First Level 1, Level 2 kettlebell training certification, instructor training certification, as well as my Strong First body weight training certification. I'm also an ISSA corrective exercise specialist, certified in that. And then currently studying for an ACE nutrition specialization and training for the Strong First barbell certification later this year. So, what was that you were saying earlier about driven?
I proved my point.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like, that's not, and we'll get into this more later, but that's not always been true. That hasn't been my life for
Right.
that long. I haven't. I've been certified since 2017, so all of that drive has happened in the last 4 years. That's really not that long. So that's kind of the short story of what I do. The long story of what I do, I just help. I help people change behaviors. I help people change lifestyles, and I help people change their attitudes and their perspectives about life. And all while picking heavy things up and putting them down and getting a little bit stronger. So that's what I do, and I love it.
So, one thing I ask all my guests is, what is one fun fact about you that not a lot of people know?
So, a fun fact about me that not a lot of people know, most people, when they first meet me, I'm not a very intimidating person. That's just the facts. And I'm good with that. That makes me more approachable in my field. That makes me feel better about approaching others. So I'm good with that. But I do have limits, as we all do. And in fourth grade, so we're going way back. In fourth grade, somebody found mine. I was on the playground at recess, and there was this boy, Jared. We'll leave last names out, but Jared. Um, every single day made fun of me for being short. I'm not tall. I am 5'4" on a good day. I once was told if you use fractions to measure your height, it means you're short. So I just 5'4". Don't ask questions.
Yes.
But he made every day he made fun of me. And so one day he's hanging from the monkey bars and he's making fun of me. I'm down on the rocks playing with my friend Stevie. She was my best friend at the time. And I was like, man, and I just remember thinking in my head, man, this sucks. I don't like this anymore. I'm sick of this right now. Why is he hanging from the monkey bars making fun of me, thinking that he's not vulnerable? I'll show him. So I got up, and in the middle of recess, outside on the playground in front of everybody, I de-pantsed Jared. And he was wearing pink underwear,
Oh my
which was even better.
gosh.
And Stevie and I ran like bats out of hell. We hid behind the fire escape ladder for the rest of recess. Went into class thinking like, gosh, like immediate like rush of energy followed by immediate panic. Like, what did I just do? So I'm sitting in fourth grade. My teacher at the time, not always the warm, fuzziest person in the world. I'm sitting there. It's story time. She's reading to us. All of a sudden, there's a knock on the classroom door. Jared's fourth grade teacher. Come here, Erin. We got to talk to you. So I ended up with 5 days inside recess, which is basically like fourth grader jail. But yeah, in fourth grade, I'd had it. I do pants to kids, so don't tease me because everybody will see your underpants.
I also have a de-pants story. But I was the one that was de-pantsed, but I got into trouble. This was in 8th grade, so much older, but I got into trouble because she claimed that I did it to her first. So I think I think I'm sure almost everyone has like this deep, deep pants story who's older, I guess, right? Like
I mean,
30s and
probably.
40s and
I
yeah. Well, Erin, the reason why I asked you to be a part of the show and to speak to the single women in my community is because I feel like I'm just going to jump right into it. So it's like I just like turned on the switch. Um, I feel like especially single women have unnecessary pressure when it comes to their appearance, when it comes to a
mm-hmm,
fitness regimen, when it comes to really having that Instagram life that she's supposed to have it all together. And
mm-hmm.
fitness is a part of that. In fact, I'm sure I'm sure you know, but I know that with Instagram that I'm part of the the algorithm that shows me fitness videos all the time because I, of course,
Right.
fitness is one of my passions, but I felt like one of the reasons why I think you and I got along so well like the moment we met is because we do have the same philosophies when it comes to fitness and we do understand the importance the health benefits of moving your body versus what you should be doing, right? So I kind of wanted to open up that conversation. I wanted to bring you on as an expert because I've experienced your work firsthand, of course, and also because I do believe that your messaging needs to be heard. So,
Thank you.
so let's go ahead. I'm going to start with my first question. So, let's go back since you do have this
Mm-hmm.
philosophy, and I do think the fact that you are 5'4", um that I'm sure that fitness wasn't your first, like strength training was not your first
Oh
calling,
gosh,
right? So
no,
you've kind of
not even close.
you've been through a lot. So let's start with what brought you to personal training. Like what is it that jolted you to start the journey of, because you have your own divorce story, so and I
I
do
do,
I do think that that's
I do.
important because I'm sure that there are a lot of listeners who have been through divorces, and I think one of the other reasons why I wanted to have you on is because you are an inspiration to know that you can rise and be the phoenix that rises from, going through a divorce and finding your passion. So let's start. I just went ahead and told probably half your story, but
Oh
okay.
no, 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 you're fine. So fitness, like for most people in the fitness world who work in this profession, fitness has always kind of been on the fringe for me. I grew up watching my dad run all the time, but it wasn't like, and this isn't like a knock to what I grew up around or anything like that, but it wasn't sustainable fitness that I grew up around. It was like beat your body up, work out because you hate your body, do those things. It wasn't anything that was sustainable. So that's kind of a little bit of the fitness, like run until your lungs are bursting out of your chest stuff. Um, and a lot of us grew up that way. Things didn't haven't started changing in that realm until more recently, I feel like. But regardless, I went to the University of Iowa. My major was religious studies. I minored in the French language. Like fitness was not on my radar. Um, but I took my first kettlebell class in 2010. And I think that that's important to note. So 2010, first kettlebell class, loved it. My hamstrings and my booty cheeks hurt for like weeks. It was great. It helped me become a better runner. We'll get into some of that later, perhaps. Um, but again, not on my radar. I worked at a trucking company for 7 years after that. In college, I met my ex-husband. Um, Long story there, but safe to say, in 2015, I ended up marrying him. Um, and throughout the duration of our relationship, we kind of went to the gym together. We did some things, but we didn't really have we never had chemistry, like not on a lot of levels. I've realized after the fact, but what I realized then what I was starting to feel then, like probably many of your listeners, many women who are thinking about divorce, who've been through divorce, whether they asked for it or not, they probably started to feel lonely at some point in the relationship. And that's exactly what was happening to me. I got into fitness because I wanted to make friends. I wanted to meet people, and I wanted to meet, more specifically, I wanted to meet women who were in my neighborhood, in my community, whatever the case might be. So I tried one of those direct marketing kind of deals for a while. Didn't really like that. Was spending way more money than I was making, and I was like, and I'm not really using my brain. It's a whole bunch. I wasn't like keyed in on the whole marketing side of things, so that wasn't for me. So I quit doing that, and I kept thinking about it. I'm lonely. I don't really have a lot of female friends outside of the people that I work with. What can I do? What are some of the things that I like to do? So I started thinking about my hobbies and my interests. And I always liked going to the gym. I loved that kettlebell class I took back in 2010. I started working out at the MAC in Cedar Rapids, just as a member. Working out there, they had some really rough looking kettlebells for a while. You remember. Tear your hands up. But I was there and I was playing with them and I was having fun, and I kept watching the personal trainers there. And I was like, man, they look like they have great relationships with those people that they're talking to, and they get to help people. That's literally their job, is to just help people feel better. And whatever, work on goals. Like how positive is that? That's awesome. So it kept catching my eye. And after a while, I asked a woman by the name of Robin, who has since become a very close personal friend. She was a personal trainer at the MAC at the time. And I saw her in the locker room. I said, hey, what do you think about being a personal trainer? What goes into that? I might be interested, but I'm not really sure. And she said, oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. I just do it as like a side hustle kind of thing. I meet some cool people. I get to, I get my membership here for free. I was like, sweet, free, I'm in. But all kinds of, there were all kinds of benefits that she spoke to. And then at the end she said, I think you'd be really good at it. And it was like I was waiting for somebody to give me that permission to go ahead and like do the thing. But I was like, I'm in. And so that night, I went home and I started researching like different personal training certifications, which was because there's a lot out there, and they all have their ups and they all have their downs, and depending on if anybody's interested in pursuing that as a field, depending on what you're looking for, there's do your homework. But I started doing my research, and I picked ACE, not for any super specific reason, but I made the plunge. It was a financial commitment, but I made the plunge and I started studying, and I was still married at this time. I started studying for this after work, in the evenings, and it was kind of like, for a while, my escape. Right? So I'd go up into the office and I'd be buried in my books for hours, and it would be great because I didn't have to deal with the relationship, the the present, none of it. All I had was my studies and my positive thoughts about the future. So fast forward, I'm getting stronger, a little bit stronger at the gym. I'm studying, and now I'm going through my divorce. So I studied for probably about just shy of a year. So that's about the course of time it took me to realize I need out. I need out. Something in this whole decision-making process is telling me it's time to go. This has run its course. So I took my personal training certification exam and passed during that whole mental tumultuous moment that is divorce. And I had to meet him, my ex-husband, that night to sign some papers. And I was ecstatic. I had just come back from the Colonel's game, celebrating with my dad and my sister and having a good old time. Obviously, not looking forward to this impending meeting and paper signing moment, but whatever. I was prepared for it. And I went into it, and he looked at me at the end of everything and he said, "It's probably good that this didn't end up working out because there's no way I would have ever let you do this," meaning personal training. And I thought to myself, I left that parking lot that night and I was like, and that is why I am doing this. That is why I am doing this, because nobody's going to tell me what they will and won't allow me to do, except for I had applied to be a personal trainer at the MAC, and this was prior to me officially passing my exams, so I got to start the job shadowing process and everything. I was meeting people, and I was having a blast. I felt for the first time in a long time like I was doing something that I was actually meant to be doing. Uh, and that was powerful stuff. And that, I think, is probably where that drive comes from
when you have to, especially in your situation, when you are chasing a passion and you don't have the support at home, you don't have a partner who says, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited and so happy for you, and what can I do to help you, and what can I do to help nourish you?" And as you chase your passions, a lot of women, I feel, settle in relationships, and to me that's like a key, like, red flag when women start dating someone and that person doesn't support her passions or tries to manipulate or try to change it to where she stops doing the things that she loves. And with you discovered something, and in the discovery and getting the permission from another woman, which I talk about that all the time, about how important that is for women to give women to give other women permission. With the push of Robin, it really shed a lot of light, not only on what you wanted to do with your life, but also shed some light on that relationship where you're like, oh, okay. It was almost, yeah, it was
Oh,
confirmation. Like you
absolutely.
said, it's like when you signed the papers, you were like, yep, I made the right decision, and this is what I'm going to do with my life. Yeah, when you go through that, you build so much character. My mom used to have this saying when I was always going through these really rough patches in my divorce. She kept saying, "It builds character. It builds character." And I used to say, "I don't think I can have any more character. I think I have enough. I'm full of it. I don't."
I'm full of characters. Like, call me Sybil
Yes.
from now on. Just,
Yes.
I'm full of characters.
But
I don't need
it
any
did.
more.
It gave you
Yeah.
character. It gave you drive and determination. It gave you focus. It gave you uh, being able to be futuristic and be able to focus on your future. Um, and I think that you're what an incredible role model you are, because women sometimes don't even know what their passions are. And especially single women, who I tell them, I'm like, "Well, what are your hobbies?" And sometimes they're like, "I have no idea." And I'm like, "Well, we need to work on that." Let's.
That's so funny you say that. My ex-husband used to tell me all the time, "You need to get hobbies. You need to
Oh,
get some
right, right,
hobbies."
of course.
But the gym didn't count. The gym didn't count. I wasn't allowed to count that because that was always my answer. But I'm working out, and he was like, "No, do real hobbies like gardening or something, or do." He mentioned sewing a few times, and I was like, "What is this,
Yes.
1952? Like,
Well,
get
you
out of
did
my
something
face."
you did something
Yeah,
that
no
I tell
thanks.
women to do all the time. You went back to, you kind of did a catalog in the back of your head, and you're like, "Okay, what is it that brought me joy? What is it that I did that made me happy?" And you went back to that one class, and you're like, I enjoy this and I enjoy that. So I commend you. I think that what you did was, it's a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of courage to go through that discovery. So
Thank you.
now, fast forward, you have, so just for our listeners that are not in Iowa, the MAC is a gym. It's just a gym here in Cedar Rapids. And so tell us the
Yes.
story.
Yep.
So what's going on now?
What's going on now? Well,
Woohoo!
now I am my own business owner. That little comment I said earlier about not letting anybody tell me what to do anymore, took that one to heart. So I am now the very proud owner of Stark Strength. And it is personal training, group fitness stuff going on right now. And it has been awesome. I opened my doors. It's not really, I don't have a physical
Mm-hmm.
location, which I think it makes me very unique. Um, at
Right.
least in our
Right.
part of the country, especially in our part of the country. Um, so I opened my doors in March, and I have been welcoming probably especially recently on
Mm,
average one new client a week, and that's for one-on-one training. And it's been awesome. It's been a wild ride, and I think what it boils down to is the culture that I'm creating within my bubble of people. I think that's important, is to know, like, if you're going to go out on your own, and this, this applies to like real life too, outside of business. Know your culture, know your vibe, know what you want in life, out of life,
yes.
um,
Amen to
and
that.
don't settle for anything
Amen.
else. And when you find, and like we all end
Mm-hmm.
up, and I'm sure we've had conversations in the past, where you end up in situations where you're like, ooh, this is clashing
Right.
with my culture. What am I going to do about it? And you just find the most diplomatic way to
That's a great way
exit
of
that
putting
out
it.
of your life.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, thank you. um, and so Stark Strength is last week we started doing classes. If any of your listeners are in the Keystone, Iowa area, southern Benton County is where I'm at, and I'm doing outdoor classes right now in our park, in our city park, and they have been awesome. I'm doing a couple of strength training classes. I'm doing a few metabolic training classes, and I am also doing youth fit because I feel like this message and these values are important to learn at a really young age. So I'm out there doing that, and then I'm meeting with people one on one for in home training as well, um, where folks that are in my area can either come to my house and we hang out in my basement and we pick things up and put them down, or I come to you. So I'm doing some of that. I'm writing programs, so people who have crazy, hectic, busy lifestyles that can't commit to a certain day or certain time, or they know that they'll go to bed tonight at 10 p.m. with one schedule and they'll wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow with 5 emails and a whole new schedule. There's lots of those people in the world. Um, and so I write custom fitness programs, self-paced, and I also do virtual training. So I do pretty much anything that your typical trainers in a gym will do. I'm just doing it outside of those four walls, which I think is going to help break a lot of stigmas and a lot of barriers that people have when it comes to pursuing strength or fitness in general.
Wonderful.
Um,
So
so that's pretty much what's been going on.
so you're just a jack of all trades. So you virtually, in person, group, individual,
Yeah,
write individual
yeah, I love it all.
programs. Okay,
Yep.
so I would say, would you say that what is your target demographic? Is it female, male? Is it mostly female, male? Like what would you say?
It's mostly female, and I have no opposition working with men, but it is true that in personal training, in general, I think I forget the exact metric, but I want to say it was something astonishing, like 80% or more of your clients, even in a general, just like a general corporate style
Yes.
gym, 80% or more of your clients
I'm
are going to be female. Um, And I think that says a lot when you really break it down. Uh,
Well, yeah, and I guess that
we
leads
can
into
get
our
into
next
that if
question,
you
right?
want
So the
to.
question was, what struggles do you think women face when it comes to fitness? And that kind of answers one of them. Uh, one of the reasons why women would come to me and come to my dance studio was because they didn't want to go to the gym because they felt instantly judged or having that stigma of the whole saying I need to lose weight in order to go to the gym. Like the whole women have this whole story that they carry around. I can go into, about body positivity and all of that, but I don't want to I'm not going to dive into that today cuz I don't have enough time. But um so what in your experience, what struggles do you think women face the most when it comes to fitness?
One, just a lack of confidence, and a total over acceptance. I don't know, over acceptance isn't how I want to say that, but a
Mm,
total overwhelm
yeah.
of insecurities, I think, is how I want it. I have worked with women who
Yeah.
literally could not stand to look at themselves in the mirror when they were working out. I had to strategically pick locations inside gyms or switch locations of gyms, meet at whole different fitness centers in order to help these women break out of their shells. Did we get there? I'm proud to say that in most cases, yes, we did. Um, that said, how they got there just breaks my heart. Um, and it's because of the
Right.
way society has set us up. We are told to not eat a lot of food. We're told to the foods that we do eat need to be low fat or that they need to be whatever. They need to be light. We're told that we shouldn't look too muscular. We're told that if we pick heavy things up, we're going to hurt ourselves. I can't even tell you how many times I have been deadlifting at the gym, me, a certified trainer who competes in weightlifting, approached by men in the gym
Oh my
and told that
gosh.
the amount of weight I was lifting was unsafe for the size of my body. So all of that, you take all of that and everything else that women hear, that women see, what women feel when they look in the mirror, and you throw that in some leggings and a tank top and you try to tell it to go get on that treadmill where everything's going to start moving and looking weird. No. So I think that that's the first thing,
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
a total overwhelm of insecurities show up when women are working out or women are going to the gym. Um, and I guess kind of I touched on a few of the other ones. Women don't want to look big. They don't want to look too muscular, so they'll focus on just hitting the treadmill or hitting that elliptical or going to the hour-long HIIT class where you leave feeling like a bug on a windshield. And then they start to wonder in maybe a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, why isn't this working? Why, when I look in the mirror, am I still seeing the same
Right.
thing I saw a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months ago? Why am I still
Mhm.
feeling the way I felt that time ago? Um, and that's probably those are the biggest things I think I see women struggling with
I
when
agree.
they start to
That
get
was
into
an experience
fitness,
that I had
start to
in the
develop a
studio
fitness
too.
routine.
Was women when they would first come in, they would. We always had this back corner. It was kind of back behind a pillar to where she couldn't really see herself in the mirror, and we know it takes her an amount of courage to approach you or to walk into the studio or walk into the gym to be able to be like, I know that I deserve better, meaning I know that I deserve to move my body because it makes you feel good. So that kind of leads into my next question. You do, as a woman, have to get to a certain point to where you say to yourself, I want to feel better. Women do go on their own personal journey to get to a point where they say, okay, I want to move my body, but you do have these insecurities that paralyze you. So, what suggestions do you have
Mm-hmm.
to women who are ready to make, how do they overcome those insecurities to a point where they can take that leap and that they're trying to achieve a healthy lifestyle when it comes to fitness?
I have a few suggestions. One, um, if they can, I really suggest for women in particular
Mm,
to, at least at first, get away from mirrors. Don't work out looking in front of don't work out looking at yourself in a mirror if you haven't worked out in a long time. You're gonna, like I said earlier, you're probably gonna see some things moving or jiggling that you don't want to see moving or jiggling. So just get that out of your eyesight, because if you can't see, if out of sight, out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. And aside from that, instead of trying to figure out what good movement looks like,
that's
start
really
to
good.
focus
That's
on
really
what
good.
good movement feels like. So that's my first tip: is if you can, get away from mirrors, especially if you're feeling even the littlest bit insecure about starting your workout or starting into a fitness routine. The second thing I would say is if you've tried cardio before, if you've tried all everything else before, I will asterisk this by saying the exercise that works for you is the
Me too.
exercise that works for you, and I believe that to my core. So
Right.
everybody's different, and what works for me is not going to work for somebody else, and I'm 100% fine with that. But if you've tried everything else and you haven't tried weightlifting, you should really try some weightlifting, because there is nothing that's going to boost your confidence more than picking something really heavy up and like putting it over your head or like holding it at your waist. When you start doing things that are heavy, and you don't start heavy, right? You start light, you start memorizing those good movement patterns, like what we were just talking about. And then you add the weight from there. You start with your training wheels. Start like you do when you're learning how to ride a bike. But when you start to work on strength, something changes, at least for me and most of the
I'm
women
raising my hand, by the
I
way.
that are in my
Yeah.
circle, something changes for you. Yeah. Yes. And I've thought about this a lot, and I think that's because
Mm,
very often we associate the gym with what's masculine. Um,
right.
and not to
Yes.
knock men at all. I am not a man hater. I am a feminist, though, obviously.
Yes.
But we think of the gym as the man's world, especially the free weight section. Like,
Hmm.
I can
Hmm.
even imagine as a high school girl trying to go over and even think about touching the dumbbells, right? And I can't, like, how many adult women still have that mentality? Go over and touch the dumbbells. I'm giving you permission. Do it. Because what's going to happen is when you start to master that, when you start to build that confidence, and you're like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing with
Hmm.
this weight. I'm going to do this goblet squat over here and I'm going to crush it. It's going to look awesome. Then that confidence carries over to the rest of your life. So if you haven't tried strength training, try strength training, because it's going to make it's so hard, and I will say that it is so hard sometimes to want to keep after it. But it makes everything else feel easier. So if you are going through some stuff, go pick something heavy up and put it back down, or go pick it up and throw it around. There is no better therapy, and when you're done, you're going to look great, you're gonna feel great. So that's the second thing. Um, and if you can, if you're getting started, if you can, and this is not always
Hmm.
attainable for people, so it's why it's kind of lower on my list. But find a good
Absolutely.
coach, right? I'm sure you would back me up on this. Find a good
Agreed.
coach, because a good coach is going to help you work through all of that. A good coach is going to help you work through those insecurities. A good coach isn't going to just tell you how to move. They're going to help you figure out how you feel about a movement. They're going to help you guide. They're going to help guide you to movements that are more for your body. They're going to keep you safe. That's something that a lot of
Right.
women worry about when they start working out at the gym. Again, we're told very often that we're going to get hurt. So your trainer, your coach will keep you safe. If they're a good coach, find a good coach. Do your research.
Right.
Don't just go in and assume that all trainers are created equal. Um, and that all certifications that trainers have are created equal. Do your research. If you're going to spend the money, if you're going to make the investment,
Erin. So there's a couple things
make
that I
it
want
worth
to
it.
mention. I think focusing on how it makes you feel and not focusing on the results or focusing on the inches or focusing on anything else other than how it makes you feel. And I think if you focus, and this is something that I use as a coach with my clients, because sometimes they come to me and I'm like, okay, let's shoot for goals 6 months from now or 12 months from now or 18 months from now. And they're like, sometimes women are so in stuck in the chaos of life that they can't even project or even think about what those goals are. So I always say, well, how do you want to feel? Because I think as a women, again, just like how we're talking about how gym is a man's world, I think also as women, we're taught to not really like hone in on our feelings and how we want to feel, because that's being too sensitive or being too feminine or not allowing a woman to just express how she feels. So when you talk about her feelings and allowing her to be like, okay, how do you want to feel? She's able to much better put that in perspective and be like, okay, how do I want to feel? Versus what results do you want to see? So dance is the same way. And this is, I would teach that in the exact same way. Come in and dance, not because of like how you're, what ends up happening to your body is just a positive result, right? But you're being in the moment and being in your body and feeling it and feeling how it makes you feel to be able to move heavy things or to be able to walk in heels or whatever the case may be. It makes you feel incredible. And I think that that's sound advice.
It all boils down to mindset. So like the one thing I should also mention is like people who work with me, like Kat, what are some of my rules, right? We don't say weak. We are not weak.
Yes.
That is totally off the table. Take it out of your vocabulary. Weakness does not exist. There is just strength that you haven't discovered you have yet. Whether that is mentally or physically, you are not weak. Nobody listening to this podcast is weak. You have strength that you just haven't discovered yet. So I think that's really key. And that's the culture, right? And the other rule is you can cuss me out if it helps get you through your set, but only during this set.
Yes.
But that's the silly rule.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, and you kind of already answered it, the whole like cardio versus weights, women not knowing, which one you should do and the pressure. Because here's the thing too, is that women who are driven, these single high achieving women who know what they want to do it the right way. And you kind of have already mentioned that, where you're like, it doesn't matter. Like whatever your fitness journey is what your fitness journey is, whether it be cardio, whether it be weights. And like, there's so much pressure. There's like micros and macros and cardio and this kind of weight and work out this much and don't work out this much. And I mean, just the ongoing constant information overload that we get on an ongoing basis. So what is your philosophy? So where should she begin? Should she start with weights? Yeah. Should she start with cardio? Where do you think? And I think too, it's important to mention that she needs to give herself grace in all of this, that there's no right or wrong way, right? So in your...
Yes, absolutely. No right or wrong way, and no right or wrong amount of time to work out. If you're just starting, start small. Start with 5 minutes, start with 2 minutes. See how many air squats you can do in 2 minutes, start that way. But where should she start? I think she should start by analyzing what her priorities are. Right? So in your case, Kat,
it was my living. I danced every day.
Dance was life, right? Not saying it isn't still, but dance was life. And so what you have to consider is, are we going to rob Peter to pay Paul, or what are we going to do? So what you want to think about, and I always advocate for lifting. I truly believe no matter who you are, lifting weights is going to be an added benefit to whatever lifestyle you are living. So know what your priorities are. And then try and find a lifting routine that complements that. So if cardio is your thing, that's great. But be somebody who
Right.
is a badass cyclist, getting out there, getting all those miles in, who lifts. Because lifting is going to, especially as women, nobody wants to be the incredible shrinking women. So lifting weights, resistance training, this is science. It will improve your bone density. So that's key, especially for women as we age. That's awesome. It boosts certain hormone levels depending on what kind of lifts you're doing, and maybe depending sometimes on when. So you can see benefits where that's concerned, and that also is why that plays into affecting your mood in a positive manner. That's all true hard science. Things positives that weightlifting will do. And then my big thing is that strength, according to ACE, strength or lack thereof or loss of strength as we age is the biggest all-cause mortality factor. So if you're not working on strength, man, one day nobody, like, you're gonna be the little little old lady that fell and couldn't get up or had a hip fracture. And so strength's really important, not just for now, but for life and for long term, to live long healthy life and long healthy happy life.
Right.
But do you
and
also
there
do
is no
you.
right or
That's
wrong
key.
way. And I kind of
don't like do me, you do you.
When it comes to journaling, when it comes to having time to yourself. I mean, every woman is on her own unique journey, and I think it's important for her to have that awareness, to pay close attention enough to herself to figure out what that is. That if working out 4 times a week brings you joy, then do it. If working out one time a week, that's completely fine too. I think that the important part is that how it makes you feel, and this knowing the importance of moving your body and understanding that all the health benefits that come just from moving your body. And with weights, I think weights is, absolutely. So Erin, do you think that okay, so I'm going to ask you, so where do you see yourself in the next 6 months to a year? What are your future goals?
Ooh, that is a really great question. So I mentioned earlier, I've got a couple different things I'm studying for. So I am hoping to be busier with clients through those tools. So I've got my nutrition specialization that I'm studying for right now. As many people do when it comes to fitness, they end up having questions about what they're putting in the old pie hole too. Yes. So I want to make sure that I am a resource for people where that's concerned as well. And then I'm studying also studying for my barbell certification with Strong First this December, which, if all goes according to plan, will give me my elite ranking with them, which is pretty exciting. That means I have all 4 of their modalities, or all 4 of their certifications active and in good standing at one time, which basically just means I worked really hard and probably did some stupid things. Which really doesn't mean anything super special, other than I'm continuing to educate myself for the benefit of, number 1, me, because I just love it. So I'm going to keep doing it because I love it. But number 2, because it benefits the people around me. So I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm really hoping that in the next 6 months to a year, I will be married.
You are getting married, yes.
In August, so that's really for the hills. I'm the one that proposed, by the way, in case your listeners were wondering. That's possible. If you have questions, just ask them. If you have questions, ask them. That's all I can say about that. And then you'll get answers. My answer was yes. But hopefully I'll be married. Hopefully I'll be strong first elite. And hopefully I will be continuing to do what I love every day, which is working with the coolest people. Like, my job is like hanging out, telling terrible jokes, and helping people get better at picking things up. Like, they hang out with me for an hour, I pick on them a little bit, and then I go home. Like, it's fun. So I hope I'm still doing all that, because if I'm not, it's going to be kind of a bummer.
No, I have faith. I have absolute faith in you that you will be. This is just the beginning of something amazing. So thank you, Erin, so much for being on the show. Is there any final words that you would love to say to our audience?
Any final words? Anything you put your mind to is possible. Just remember to start changing that vocabulary and take that word weak out of there.
Love it. Well, thank you again, Erin. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you so much for having me. How awesome. And you know, if anybody has any questions, they're more than welcome to reach out to me anytime. I am clearly not an intimidating person at all.
She's not.
So, I am more than happy to answer any questions. And my whole thing is equitable wellness. So if you're going through some stuff and you're trying to figure it out and you need help, but you're not sure you can afford it or whatever the case is, let me know. Just lay it out there and we'll figure out a solution, because where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, thanks again. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you. All right. I hope so. Bye.
A huge thank you to Erin Stark for joining us here at the lounge at the Single Women's Society. And if you were listening to Erin and you're like, she sounds like a really cool chick, I want to know more about her and her services, you can check her out. I will make sure and put all of this in the show notes. You can check her out on Instagram at FSG_Stark, or her website, which is www. Make sure I get this right, stark-strength.com. Again, I'll make sure and put this in the show notes. And here are my final words. The sexiest thing that you can put on is confidence. It does not matter your shape, your size, your weight, your height, your hair color, your eye color. It does not matter. If you are loving the skin that you're in and you are confident about the woman that you are, that is the sexiest thing that you can bring to the table on your first date. Well, thank you again, my love, for joining me today. And if you've been watching on YouTube, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and click the little bell so every time we have a new episode, you are the first to know. And if you are listening to us on Spotify or on iTunes, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the episode. That's how other women can find us here at the Single Women's Society. And if you have Facebook and Instagram, I would love it if you would come and follow us. You can follow us at Single Women's Society, or of course, come follow me, Kat Cantrell, CATCANTRILL, on Instagram or Facebook. I'm having a lot of fun with Reels over on Instagram, so come and check it out and give me a follow. And remember, my love, the sexiest thing that you can wear is your confidence, and true love is waiting for you. And I will see you next time.